No loud music, no fancy opening. We're just going to get right to it. This is my new NASCI 500. Just got it straight out of Japan today. Picked it up at the post office. We're just going to tear right into it. Feels pretty smooth, but we're going to take it apart real quick. I'm going to try to keep this brief. Just going to pop the spool, pop the rotor, take a look at the clutch, the in reverse, pull the gear, put it back together. Down and dirty. Take the spool off, take the spool retainer off. Let's see, I thought that was a 9, that's a 10. That's a this is a righty loosey on these little reels, especially. I don't know why, but that's the deal. Rotor pops off. We should be pretty clean. It's brand new. Just took it out of the bag. Yep. Yeah, everything's pretty tight. And we're going to be kind of careful taking this and reverse clutch off, because this particular model, you can see that the 3 screws on the top of the this stainless retaining ring. On this particular model, you take these 3 screws out, but once you actually remove the clutch, the top will come off. And if you let that come off and let all the little needle bearings that are in there, you let them come out, then you're in a little bit different frame of mind. I'm just going to set that down right there. I'm going to pull this out, and that's actually what catches. Fat side goes up. We're just going to slide that down there so that stays. And now we're down to the nitty gritty. We're down to the main gear. We're going to pull that out. That's got a bearing on it, and it looks like most of the lube is kind of up high on that gear. So to stay with what it looks like is in here, I'm going to use some of the super lube. Now I don't take these little ones apart if I can help it, because you've got to orient the oscillating gear and the pinion gear, or the main gear and the oscillating gear. And if not, it won't work right, because that gear is not round. The oscillating gear is not round. It's kind of squarish. Alright, so real quick before I put it back together, I'm going to keep that ring there. We're going to just take this paper towel. There's a couple of different schools of thought on these clutches. You don't ever want to put grease on it, because then they won't work. And if you're going to use any lube at all, just a very, very light, Alright, check this out. Now this NASCI 500, this is actually one they stopped making. We're August 2017. They stopped making that particular reel, I believe, in 2013. But if my calculations are correct, and which would require math, these NASCIs and the symmetries are basically the same reel, same price point, same number of bearings, at least for the 500. So we're going to put that back down. Yeah, I have 2 of these. The first one that I took apart, I actually didn't realize what I'd said about the top coming off, and one of the little needle bearings slipped out. And I was like, oh man. I'm looking for my Shimano lube. I don't see any, so I'm just going to put a very, very teeny drop of Real X on there. seat that in there. And if I don't get that seated, the reel will do that for me. Alright. Now you'll notice this little ring here, this rubber ring. That's a friction ring. What that's designed to do is actually, you've got a tab located right here, right there, and that tab actually flips down and puts pressure on that ring, so that when you're making a cast, your bail is open. If that rotor were to turn quickly, it would hit that bail, it would hit this stop right here, and the bail will close prematurely. So before your line is completely out, your bail is closing and your line's snapping and your lures keep going. Not a big deal with these, but it gets much more complex when you got those more expensive lures, bigger equipment. Felt maybe a little bit of a whirring in there when we first took this out of the box. Nothing that you'd be able to hear on camera. I see we're at 6.5 minutes, so I'm going to try to keep it. I'm just going to get that snug. Don't want to get it too tight. Much better, much better. If I still hear it, I'll actually think that maybe it's something to do with the spool. You want to be sure these little spacers. See that? These little spacers, if you get some uneven line leg, if your line isn't perfectly this way on the spool, if your line lays like this, you probably need to put some spacers in there. That's going to prop that spool up. You take all the line off and put it back on. It should be level. Line lays, I think it's kind of a big deal. I like my stuff to be, I like it to look nice, look neat. Should start tightening up any day now. Oh yeah, plenty tight. I'm going to load this up with some 2-pound test. It's going to be my bait reel. Yeah, going to be bait for flathead, catfish, looking to catch little bluegill, maybe even an occasional smallmouth. And if I get some really small bluegill. Really nice and smooth now. It was just a little, I couldn't really put my finger on it. Maybe still a little bit. But we're gonna work this in there. We're gonna backward and forward. Hey, I tell you what, man, we're at 8 minutes. I've talked long enough about this thing. My name is Brent. Go fishing.